Will they ever learn? I was looking at the details of the latest 911 call last night and obviously disappointed by the whole thing. I had hoped that Don and Candus were off the booze, staying clean, trying to get their life together. Clearly not. But I'm also very surprised at the reaction to it. Here's a clip from Brian Enton at News Nation reporting on the incident.
Before, and they were back at the house on Wednesday. According to the police reports, someone called 911, said that they heard fighting coming from the Wells home. When the deputies arrived, they say that Candus Wells, Summer's mom, said that Don Wells, Summer's dad, had hit her, put his hands around her neck, and pushed her up against the wall. The deputy said they didn't see any bruises on Candus. She said that her thumb was broken, but they say they noticed her actually flick a cigarette with that thumb, and that she was able to put her shoe on with that thumb. So after sort of investigating at the scene, no arrests were made.
Is that news report a bit odd? Or is it just me? Like, why are we getting the details on the thumb? Why are the police saying that there was no bruises on Candus? Is this irresponsible? Like, if there was a woman watching this who's involved in domestic abuse, what are they going to take away from this? That if I'm attacked and there's no bruises, the police won't believe me. What are men going to take from this who are committing domestic abuse? It's okay to hurt her as long as you don't leave a mark, as long as you don't leave a bruise. Like, for a news company and a news reporter who covered extensively the Gabby Petitio case, I find it a bit irresponsible to be coming out with details like that and just the general tone of it. The city of Moab in Utah released a 100-page document last week, an independent investigation into how the police handled the traffic stop with Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. And the report found that the officers that performed that stop made unintentional mistakes. The report is going to be fully implemented. It recommends a policy and training change to the police in Utah. They never actually got the statement from the original person who called 911 that said he seen Brian hit Gabby. I want to just show you 2 sentences from that conclusion in the report. It says, just because Gabby was determined to be the predominant aggressor as it related to this incident doesn't mean she was the long-term predominant aggressor in this relationship. And the second line, or first sentence in the second paragraph, it is very likely Gabby was a long-term victim of domestic abuse, whether that be physically, mentally or emotionally. They made huge mistakes, and it's very likely Gabby would be alive today if they didn't. And that's tough. That's tough on the officers as well, because I actually liked them when I was looking at the footage, but they completely missed it. Whether it's training or policies or whatever, that should not have happening. But back to Candus. Now we have the same news station, the same reporter that covered extensively Gabby Petito, mocking Candus basically because she doesn't have a bruise. And I think reports like that, the attitude tones like that, is going to have a serious impact on people at home, whether they be the aggressors or the victims, when it comes to domestic abuse. No, I'm very hyper aware of this at the moment, because we have a big case in Ireland where Aisling Murphy, who went for a jog, who was a teacher and went for a jog after school in the middle of the day and was brutally attacked and murdered. And it's kind of kicked off a few little things in the country. There's a lot of marches where women are saying that they don't feel safe and they don't feel that men are listening to them. So there's also a bit of noise from the far right in Ireland in relation to this, but I don't want to get into that at all. Bottom line is, Aisling was attacked in the middle of the day, murdered, and now we have women all over the country telling us that they don't feel safe because of our attitudes towards domestic violence. And I think it's an important conversation to have. I was talking about it on the first podcast this week, and I've actually been talking to a few Patreons about it as well. But when I look at whatever problems we have over here, over in the US, this is out of control. That you can even have news reports like this. I put up a poll last night on my community tab asking, as a woman who is an ongoing victim of domestic violence, does Candus get enough help and support? And 55% said yes, the help is there if she wants it. 36% said no, the state of Tennessee and the police don't do enough. And 9% said other. And I find the comments very, very interesting as well. I haven't interacted with the comments yet, but I have read them all. And I'm not an expert in this, and I feel like I'm walking on eggshells a bit. But some of the harshest comments are coming from women, saying Candus cried wolf too many times, which I don't accept at all. Are we saying so that if a woman cries wolf 3-4 times, that tough luck, take the beating, that's what you get for crying wolf? A lot of people saying Candus is the aggressor. Like, come on, look at the size of Candus and look at the size of Don. We've seen Don dig Candus in the throat on a live stream. Candus can't kill Don. Don can kill Candus. And I can't help but look at Candus and her situation over the years when it comes to domestic abuse. That's all I'm talking about. That she's been victimised by the police. She's been victimised by other women. And she's stuck. She's trapped. She's never going to get her boys back. That's what she's holding on to. That's not going to happen. What judge in their right mind would put kids back into that environment? Like, even if they stayed off the booze, went to the AA, got all their badges for 2 years, 2.5 years, I still don't think the boys are ever going to go back. You can't suddenly take them out of a stable environment and put them back into something like that. You just can't. But that's probably what Candus is holding on to. That's why she's staying in the relationship. And I'm very surprised that more people aren't encouraging. Like, how come Gabby Petito and Brian were separated for 24 hours? But it doesn't happen in Tennessee. It doesn't happen here. Like, what would happen if Candus was separated from Don from 24 hours? You get some court order. Can it be longer than 24 hours? Can she get some counselling during that 24 hours? Is there women's shelters in Tennessee? I looked it up. I could find one. Sometimes you don't realise how toxic something is until you're out of it. And I think in all of this, our best chance now of finding Summer is if Don and Candus split and they talk. Even if it's Candus just coming out saying, I was a piece of shit, I wasn't a very good mother at all, and for 2 hours on that day I didn't know where Summer was. I came home, got high, was scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours, completely lost track of time. She could be anywhere. She could have been down in the creek. I messed up. I lied. I was drinking to cover my lies. I'm being open, I'm being honest now. This is what happened. I'm trying to get my shit together. You'd respect that. I would respect that if she can somehow fill the timeline. If she had nothing to do with it, obviously. But I really don't understand the attitudes towards domestic violence when it comes to this. And I know it can be, oh, she refuses help. Like, lots of people in domestic violence will refuse help. Of course they will. They're trapped. Why aren't they separated for 24 hours? Why aren't people intervening then, during that time when they're separated? Has she been offered housing and support? Has she been offered anything? I think if she does come to the conclusion that she's not getting her boys back, she'll be gone. And I think that's the best thing that can happen in this case at the moment. And I hope it happens, because we finally might get some answers, because we know she's lying about things that happened on that day, but that doesn't mean that we can just turn a blind eye to a woman getting battered. And police officers coming out victimising her, and news reporters coming out with an underlying tone in their reports about it, and the details from the police on painting a picture for us all with her flicking a cigarette. Like, come on, that shouldn't be out there. Not good for domestic abuse as a whole. This stuff is hurting people. Like I said, we have our own issues going on over here at the moment about this, but I'm shocked at some of the attitude over in the States. It's so normalised. Let me know what you think. I'm really interested in the comments on this one. And if anyone does want to listen to that podcast on Ashley Murphy, that's over on my Patreon. Speaking of, a big thank you to my 5th Patreon member, Chanda Rush, and her 2 gorgeous dogs, Remy and Dahlia. If anyone wants to send me a picture of dogs, please do. My email is in the about section. I love seeing people's dogs. Always up for getting a picture. Please, if you have a good looking dog, or any dog at all, please send me a picture. That's it. Thanks. Good luck. God bless. Have a good day.